So after a few days have passed and some thorough investigation has been completed, verdict finally arrived surrounding Mount Pleasant and the use of ineligible players in one game, players for a duration of game. All right, so welcome back, people, to MG Sports TV. Thank you very much again for tuning in. And the verdict has arrived surrounding Mount Pleasant and the allegations of using ineligible players. So we're going to get into that. We're going to read the press release that was sent out by the Jamaica Football Federation. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and you don't know, share the video. Let's get the likes. So probably let's go for 300 likes. If we can hit 1,000 views or even 1,500 views, I think we can get 300 likes. I think so. Anyways, let's get straight to the meat of the matter. No time wasting. You don't know anything already. All right, so to Mount Pleasant FA, the Jamaica Football Federation competition committee at its meeting held recently has advised that the Mount Pleasant FA was found to be in breach of the caption regulations in match 205, Mount Pleasant FA versus Racing United FC on 10th of April 2025. Therefore, the Mount Pleasant FA has been fined $25,000 to be paid on or before the 23rd of May. Why? $25,000? Why? And every blood in pocket. Well, they never state if a Jamaican, but my assumption is actually Jamaican. But that now budget in pocket. Right now, Mount Pleasant will say, oh, MG, come hold the 25 grand. Anyways, as it relates to the alleged breach of 7 players being placed on the match card, team sheet in a game, the committee acknowledged that the regulation stipulated that a maximum of 6 foreign players may be on the field of play at any given time. Article 17.3 of the 2024-2025 JPL regulation says that any club which feels an ineligible player participated in the game shall lose the game. From the match card received, the committee noted that only 5 players participated in the game. Article further says that where a player name appears on a team sheet / match card as a list of players available to participate, the club will be fined $25,000. Hence the decision to fine Mount Pleasant $25,000. Thanks for taking note and be guided accordingly. So this technically surrounds the Racing versus Mount Pleasant game, and we did discuss that game. I said that the game that for sure, hands down, they will lose points for that because of the amount of players that they had on the match card. Limits, competition limits 6, and they had a total of 7, and they accepted that fine $25,000 to be done. Now the next aspect now we're going to get into, and that surrounds the breach as stated in regards to put it now, the use of the other players that came in later on into the season. Let's go and let me just jump across to that one. All right, so please note that Article 6.1 of said regulation you quoted from, i.e. the FIFA regulation on the status and transfer of players, states that as an exception to the rule, a player can be transferred outside established window if these criteria are met. Criteria 1, player contract has expired close to the end of the transfer window, and 2, the player contract was terminated close to the end of the transfer window. Points be noted, the JFF competition committee have in its possession all the termination letters and the International Transfer Certificates, ITC, which indicates that the player were duly transferred to Mount Pleasant FA. What is clear is that the breach was done by the player's former club and not Mount Pleasant. As it relates to the alleged breach of 7 foreign players being placed on the match card team sheet in the game, committee acknowledged that and regulations stipulate that a maximum of 6 players may be on the field of play at any given time. Now, article. Okay, so basically that's just going at the racing stuff. So they only make a small note of the other breach in regards to where the detail, so the detail, the thorough, should I say, report that was sent to the committee, the disciplinary committee. They only made a small notion of the players. Now, the ITC form would indicate when exactly the players were transferred. If the players are free agent, no problem. Apparently, yes, the players were transferred in the January transfer window, according to what it just said. Let me read it out again. Stated that the player's contract has expired close, so these are the criteria. And they said they have the ITC form, which clearly state all of this. Now, this is what happened now. So basically, you're saying that the transfer was done duly in the due time, which is the January transfer window, and all other necessities was not on that of Mount Pleasant. Now, questions can be asked in regards to that. I won't necessarily get into that. But questions, for example, like, did Mount Pleasant actually knew that the players participated for their previous club in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and was that reported by Mount Pleasant that former club would have breached FIFA regulation? On that, put that aside. Next aspect of this is they're saying that the ITC form clearly states that these players were transferred in a normal manner, which is right. Now, there were a little bit of issue surrounding work permit with the players them coming at a later date. Now, the big aspect here is that the players, when they were transferred in January, they end up and played for Real Hope. These are the 3 or 4. These are the 3. Well, what I think are 2 players. 3, whatever the players may be. These players played for their previous club in the CONCACAF Champions Cup in February. Now, the key, as it stated, that is actually in the fault of the previous club. Now, if you're really going at technicalities, you can ask the question: did Real Hope know that these players were not eligible to play for them in the CONCACAF Champions Cup? Did any discussion at all happen between player, club, and to be able to participate in the club? Did the players even reach out back to Mount Pleasant and say, no, hey, say the club has asked us to play whatever? So I'm not sure, but I definitely believe that these questions must have been asked some point in time. At some point in time. And that discussion must have been had between the players and Real Hope. Because if the case may be that I signed for a club, and my previous club that I'm my parent club is saying, play for us during this time period, as a player, you're gonna ask. So what's the situation there? Anyways, well, the JFF committee, disciplinary committee said there's no wrongdoing there, all on the aspect of Real Hope, and the players are now possible or tentatively safe to play, are good to play. But tell me what you're thinking in the comment section, people. Tell me what you think about my questions that I asked. Are these valid questions? Do you think these questions was asked? Do you think that this discussion or this conversation was held? And did eventually, if the players did play for Real Hope, did Mount Pleasant ask the players what's the situation there, reach out to Real Hope and say what's happening there, how you're using our players, or so whatever the case may be? Because if I have an asset, there's no way I don't know what my asset is doing or have any update on my asset, especially with regards to a situation like this. But these are the tough questions. These are the questions that I think people will definitely ask about. Not me, but that's just the nature of this world, that's the nature of business. These are questions that could have been asked. What's the situation surrounding that? But as I stated, the JFF disciplinary committee said no wrongdoing, fine. That's out of the picture. But I still can ask some questions in reference to the entirety of the situation. Anyways, big up on yourself, people. Smash the like button. Tell us what you think in the comment section. And I'll see you guys again. 25,000 fine for Unpleasant, only surrounding the game that they played between racing. And that's the only way they're going to deduct. That's the only game that will be deducted points from. And that would end them on 90 points. Still top of the Premier League table. That's how it is. Anyways, big up on yourself, people. Smash the like button. Hit subscribe button. Tell me what you think in the comment section. I really find it interesting to see what you guys have to say about this entirety of the situation. See you guys again, people. MG Sports TV out. God bless. Boom. Now I mean outside. Them what?